Sometimes we speak way too much than we have to. I believe that we can discuss each of the teams in the PSL and describe them in just 3 words. And that is what we're going to attempt to do today with the 3-word game, seeing that each team has played 6 to 7 games up to this point. Let's get started. Talk time over. Hey, Tim Sugazi has been speaking about UEFA licenses. He's spoken about how every team needs a UEFA license coach. He's spoken about how some teams, the bigger teams, need to bring in those type of coaches. But now when your team is sitting bottom of the log with no wins up to this point, I think it's now time to just keep a little bit of quiet and see some action. No more talk. We need action. They need to get out of that 16th spot. Now, can the newly promoted assistant coach Baganovic and his newly appointed technical advisor Besic do the job? I don't know. But for now, ETS Galaxy has been caught with too many words and not enough actions, and they need to win right now. Looking for a miracle. Coach Atazwane and Coach Vusi Vilakazi have walked into a situation that is not a very good situation. They've walked into a situation where there's been a UEFA licensed coach who was given everything and given time, but then let go at the time of the season where, it's too late to make changes. So they're going to have to coach this team and try bring them out of that relegation zone, knowing that they won't be able to sign any players and their contracts end at the end of the year. So I think that this is a miracle working season, but luckily they have Coach Kanu, who has been in the situation with Irichas Bay, and maybe that experience of saving Irichas Bay will come invaluable for AmaZulu this season. But they're going to need a miracle. Dan can't dance. Dylan Kerr started the season with Marumo Gallants, took them through part of preseason before Utan Dance was brought in by leadership, and I think you're still working through some of the relationships that had been built with Coach Kerr. I think Coach Dan Dance is struggling to get his message across to the players, and that's why they only have 1 win up to this point and 4 losses. Now, they have been picking up a little bit. You are starting to see them play some of that Dan Dance football, but up to this point, it hasn't been the quick return that Dan Dance gives you normally. And you're going to need buy-in from players like Bo Kolamlambo to really take this team over the top. Now, Dan Dance has quite a bit of time in order to make things work. And if there's one coach you can trust, I guess, with some of these things, it has to be with Dan Dance. Wake up call. Guys, Cape Town City is a top 6 team. We've known them as a team that stays at the top. But the problem is, the moment you start going into maintenance mode and you're not progressing, the league quickly passes you by. There's only so many Mdanzanes that you can sell, Abukanyisa Mayo that you can sell, before it comes back and bites you. And this has to serve, the first few games has to serve as a wake-up call for a Cape Town City to say, guys, it's not the same league anymore. There's teams up there that are different. And maybe you're being left behind. Coach Eric Tinkler and this Cape Town City team have to wake up, because up to this point, 1 win, 2 draws, 2 losses, they've been asleep. Let's see what they can do going forward. Magesi is out for blood when they face Mamelodi Sundowns in the Carling Black Label Knockout Cup final this weekend. And SuperBets wants to make sure that you don't miss out on this game or watch it on TV. They want you in the stadium, and they're giving away 5 double tickets and your share of 10,000 Rand. So if Velo, I know you want to see if Umangoba can bring Mamelodi Sundowns their first non-league local trophy since the last time he was head coach with the other guy, all you have to do is follow the link in my profile and the one that's in the description of this video, register on the SuperBet site, make a 50 Rand bet, and comment hashtag SuperBetsOVF on all of their social media platforms. Then you'll be able to see if Coach Larson can win another knockout trophy to go with the one he won with Bloemfontein Celtic in 2012, or if Sundowns can finally prove that all that was standing in their way was Orlando Pirates. Either way, this match is going to be incredible, and you can watch it live thanks to SuperBet. Iyafana lento, man. Iyafana lento. Richards Bay made us all types of promises. They were talking all the talk last season about Coach Vusmuzi Vilakazi. Coach Kanu, he might not be the guy. Even after he saved them, they were starting to put points. They were putting points, requirements on him. They were asking him to do certain things. And you could tell, even with the sponsors, the way they were speaking about getting in big coaches and bringing in big money, that they wanted to do something different. actions speak louder than words. And up to this point, the actions they've made, whether it be signings, whether it be the actual community work they said they want to do, whether it be bringing Coach Brakis in, and no disrespect to Coach Brandon Truter, but these guys were speaking as though they were bringing in Coach Gulani. And as it stands, they're going to sit pretty close to where they were sitting last time. Yes, they've improved a little bit, but is it enough to say that Richards Bay has fundamentally changed what they're doing? I don't think so. Larson gets it. You know, when you look at a team that is getting promoted and you think about a coach that is a very experienced coach within the PSL but hasn't been in the PSL like that for a very long time, there's a little bit of fear that maybe you are good enough to get out of the NFD, but then when you get into the top leagues, can you sustain it? We've seen other elder statesmen, Abu Kabo Zondo, come in at Royal AM and not have the type of impact that we thought they would have with the experience that they bring. But Coach Clinton Larson is doing everything that he can right now, or he's doing exactly what he needs to do with this Magesi team. They don't need to be burning down the league with their amazing performances, trying to finish second or third. They just need to continue that tradition of first division teams getting promoted and doing well. You think about your Polokwanes, you think about your Chippas. I'm not going to speak about the Cape Town Spurs because they were the one that was a bit shaky. But I think that Coach Larson is using all of the experience, and hey, they're about to play in the Carling Black Label knockout game final just now over the weekend. So he's doing something incredible, and maybe he's also showing that you don't need a lot of years in order to be winners or to get to a cup final. But I don't want to say anything more. Find a coach. Find a coach. Nothing against Coach Mabuti Kenyeza. We know we love our young coaches. We know we love our South African coaches. We know we love when they're given chances and they learn and they grow and they're given the resources in order to do something. But let's not forget that this is the same Golden Arrows that started incredibly last season. And the moment that Coach Kanu left and Coach Kenyeza was left to his own devices, they went on a 7-match losing streak, 21 points. Coach Steve was brought in, which I think was more of the road that they have to go down in order to make sure that Abu Coach Kenyeza can bloom properly. But as it stands right now with the Golden Arrows sitting with 2 wins, 1 draw and 3 losses, I think Coach Kenyeza might be a little bit out of his depth, and it's showing. And I don't know if bringing in Coach Dikhashwi, another learning coach, is going to be something that you want to do at that level. Golden Arrows is one of our longest serving PSL teams. They need to do better. Breathing through the wound. Hey, there's so many problems at Royal AM. They've got a transfer ban. They don't have players to the point where chairman has to come in and start for the team. They've been going down a downward spiral for a very long time. But for some reason, somehow, they're still alive. For some reason, somehow, John Maduka has not only stabilized the ship, but you're actually watching them play progressive football. You're actually watching them do something. Now, it's not amazing. It's not something that you would expect or you should clap for in a team. But the fact that he's doing it in these type of conditions and sitting at number 9 from number 13 at this point of the season, I think he needs to be commended for doing something, of course, John Maduka. And even though Gunzima, he's fighting to keep this Royal AM team somewhere at least balanced. The honeymoon is over. There's a new manager bounce that happens when a new coach joins a team, where everybody's happy, the players start giving you performances, the fans start being happy, the stadiums are full, we don't mind some of the things that are going wrong. But when you look at the fact that Ikeza Chiefs has the same amount of points as Royal AM that is struggling right now, when you look at the fact that when we've played the big games, we've lost 4-0, let's say the last game that Ikeza Chiefs played versus Mamelodi Sundowns, you start having to ask, when are we going to ask questions of the coach, and when is coach going to show us that we understand there's no quality players, or the quality players that you want are not there, that you have to deal with a lot of the fallout from 9 years, that you have to do all of those things. But to be 8th place after all of this, with some of the signings we've made, some internationals, Bo Cirino, Bo Ignacio Miguel, who are coming from teams that play in CAF, Bo Cross, Bo Totli, Bafana Bafana internationals. At what point do we say to you, you need to start winning these games? And Ushugela Wako is going to run out at some point. And I think that is where Kaizer Chiefs is right now. It has to be respectable. You don't need to go and win a league. You don't need to go and win a trophy. But you have to keep it respectable. And I don't know if a top 8 finish at number 8 will be as much of a difference from Kevin Johnson and Zeki, or even Atazwan who finished 5th. So Nabi needs to show us something. Honeymoon, over. By Gavin's grace. SuperSport United is another team similar to Cape Town City. They have been surviving and surviving and surviving for so long. Selling players, bringing in new players, having to play youngsters, having a training squad, traveling to Polokwane and all of that stuff. And up to this point, they have literally just been surviving off of the 30 years of experience that Coach Gavin Hunt brings to this team. But you can only hold on so long, and that is why this SuperSport team has been out in the wilderness for the past few years. And I posed the same question to them as I did to Cape Town City. There's teams that are now lining up at the top that are showing that they're actual real teams that are competing, that are going to fight you for that spot that you used to hold. Can you fight those players? Can you fight those teams? And can you get back? Knowing that you have to go get Abo Vincent Poole and try fit them in. Knowing that an injury to Robela has changed everything. Hopefully going forward, Kokota Piano joining SuperSport might help them out there. Jali needs help. Jali has been the Grootmanest of Grootmans that you could ask for in the league. He's come in and he's scored important goals when he's needed to score important goals. He's played in that midfield and held it down for Chippa United. Coach Kwanele Kopo and Coach September have done incredible jobs with that with the Chippa team. They've put them up in the top. But now going forward, the question is, are you going to become like Golden Arrows from last season, who were second in the log for quite a few games at the beginning? They were top 4, top 3. And then they started sliding down when people had figured them out, when the new manager Bounce is gone, when, now you're getting into the tough games. And can Chippa United keep it up? And is Jali enough and his supporting cast around him enough to make sure that they stay up there when we know that there's teams in the league that are going to be chasing very hard to try to get back into those spots? Time will tell. Good, but not better. Good, not better. Sekhukhune is the same old Babina Noko that we saw from last year. Incredible team. My captain Lidlam Tambo does a fantastic job of leading that team. They've brought in people like Abosipo Mbule. They even convinced Coach Siema to come back and take a hold of that team. But it feels like they're stuck in the same spot. And it feels like when they were meant to take that next step going into Africa, they couldn't take it. And now they've reverted back to a maintenance job. I know the record is 3-1-1. So they have a chance to maybe win 2 or 3 games, or 1 or 2 games in order to get to the 6 or 7 that everybody else has. But I'd love to see a little bit more from Sekhukhune. I'd love to see a little bit more from Abosiema so that they can take these games down to the wire. But you cannot take away the fact that this is a good team. They just haven't improved, if that makes sense. Most underrated team, coached by the most underrated coach. The job that Coach Puti Mohafe is doing at Polokwane City is immense. The job that Coach Puti has done in frustrating Sundowns in MTN 8, in throwing twice versus Sundowns last season, in beating Sundowns in the league this time, is an incredible job. And I feel as though they're in the perfect situation because nobody is rating them right now. And nobody's really watching them like that right now. And there's no expectations that have been leveled on that team. But the fact that he can come out with a plan and he can take a Polokwane City and put them number 3, I think that is incredible. Especially with the caliber of player that he has, no disrespect to those players. And maybe this is how you repay the alleged transfer fiasco that happened with Oapolis in the window that has just passed. Maybe that is how you repay him, by making sure that, man, we're going to make this a top 3 team and we're going to give you Africa. Even if you leave, you'll know that we're trying to do everything to keep you up. So well done to Polokwane City up to this point. And now comes the tough part. Where you have to maintain this. Mangoba is enough. How many questions were asked about Coach Mangoba coming into the season? How do you follow an almost invincible season? How do you play without Tembazwane and Mokwena and Mudau? How do you change a formation that was working so well last season? Why are you trying to play a quicker, faster transition football? So many questions were brought to the doorstep of Coach Manqoba, and up to this point he has answered. The most incredible thing about this Mamelodi Sundowns team is the iterations. 32 different players have played for this team. 32 have been introduced, have played some meaningful minutes, down to Bosa Vedra. And what I love about it is that Coach Manqoba showed his adaptability, where in the beginning of the season, when they weren't doing well, he had an idea of how he wanted to play, but started adapting it and started bringing in other elements in order to make this team strong. I think this Mamelodi Sundowns team will have a lot of teeth, and I think they are the best poised team to mount a sustained challenge on the number one. If anything has taught, if we've learned anything about Sundowns over the last few years, they don't mind a long haul. They don't mind being consistent for a very long time. So I think Mamelodi Sundowns is doing incredibly well. Perfect. One loss up to this point in all of their games. They've played the most games in South African football, if I'm not mistaken. They've got an MTN 8 in the bag. They're sitting in the league with a defense that has conceded the least goals in the league at this current moment. And, well, not only are they unbeaten, they have not lost. 7 wins, no draws, no losses. Orlando Pirates is currently on a different level. The fact that it's not the Pirates from the last few years where you might get beaten 4-0 or you might win 1-0. And that 1-0 win versus Pirates won't be a 1-0 win that comes from you outplaying them. It'll just be them not attending the match. To a Pirates team that understands that we can stay in second gear and win the game. We can stay in second gear and score our 1 or 2 goals and just relax and just manage the game from that point is incredible. What's also incredible is they're missing Abonda. Our team, they're not playing. Utito has started on the bench some of these games. They're playing with Abombata, Nabo Nkota, Nabo Mfukeng, Baraki Coco Melon football. And they are unbeaten in the league right now. When it comes to league form, I think there isn't a team that touches Orlando Pirates with what they've been able to do outside of that blip versus Magesi. So up to this point, Pirates, you're doing exactly what we have asked you to do for all of these years. And Coach Jose deserves these flowers, and those players deserve their flowers. And Orlando Pirates fans, carry on supporting that team, because the one thing that I envy about Pirates fans is they don't seem to be drawn into the drama the same way everybody else is. And I think that helps their team. And I think they're going about their job and doing what they need to do. We know the expectations. We know what we want from Pirates this season. And so far, they're delivering. Well done to Mapagani. Well, that was the 3-word game. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you guys on the next one.